Welcome back. Now, Nigeria's 2027 general elections may still be some clear 2 years away, but politicians in the country are already making serious preparation for the election, especially at the presidential race now. And it's looking like we're still going to have some familiar faces in that election. Recently, key opposition leaders, now led by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, formally announced a coalition aimed at unseating President Bola Tinubu and the ruling All Progressives Congress in 2027. Now, Abubakar was the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 race, and it looks like he will be back in the race in 2027. What is really not clear at this time is whether it will be on the platform of the PDP. Interestingly, though, the coalition includes prominent figures like Peter Obi, the Labour Party candidate in the 2023 presidential race, Nasir El-Rufai, the former governor of Kaduna State and one-time chieftain of the APC, who is now of the Social Democratic Party, SDP. There's also Babachi Lawal, a former secretary to the government of the Federation and also a former member of the APC. There are other prominent political figures as well. According to them, the move is necessary to save Nigeria's democracy. Now, the official unveiling of the coalition ended weeks of speculations and uncertainty over the possibility of such an arrangement. The move has, however, been met with skepticism, while the APC now says it is not distracted. Other political leaders in other political parties have faulted the formation of the coalition and the idea of a mega party to wrestle power from the APC, saying the move is driven by personal ambition. Well, joining me now to discuss this is Lester Wilcox, who's a political affairs analyst. He joins us from Lagos. Also joining us from Abia is Sonny Maduka, another political affairs analyst. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. Let me start with you, Lester. Isn't it too early? Isn't it too early? Because it appears things are changing. The current government in power has not even done up to 2 years. And already we're talking about 2027.
DEJI, look, they say 24 hours in politics is too long a time. So 2 years in politics might be too short a time because politics is dynamic. And the earlier you start to know where you are going, where your next where you will drop your next anchor, the better for you. You see, I think it's not, I mean, if you know what happened in 2015, it was a movement that started in 2012 that culminated to 2015. I remember when Bola Tinubu was to go and meet Buhari to say, okay, let us join forces in order to be able to unseat the government. That move started in 2012, shortly after the 2011 election. And then we saw the result. So starting now, if any serious coalition that wants to unseat a sitting government in Nigeria, there's no time that is too early. I think they're even late because there's a lot of groundwork to be done if they are really serious in carrying out their threats, and if they have to go the APC way, how APC was formed, and how APC was able to mobilize and be able to unseat a ruling party from office. So it's not too early, DEJI. I think for me, it's like what they are able to do, even with the time they have at their disposal.
But don't you think they may suffer some kind of burnout, if you like, financial burnout? Because we're looking at a very long time here, and you know, we're talking about, you look at this, man, there, you know, quite a number of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, people would say, does not have the kind of financial muscle he used to have in the past. And I'm just wondering, do they have the financial resources to be able to sustain this over the next 2.5 years?
Well, before you go to war, you must count the cost. I'm sure the politicians, they know, they know what it takes to run politics in Nigeria. It's not like the UK. In the UK, you can run election without any kobo in your pocket. But in Nigeria, that cannot happen because you need a lot of deep pocket to be able to make good. Well, most of them, they already have a lot of war chests, a lot of big pockets. Most of them, they came out of offices with a lot of economic EFCC case hanging on their neck, talking about how they corrupted and themselves while they were in office, even though they have not been proved guilty. So, and then they understand the game better than you and I, DEJI, because we are not politicians. So they know that in terms of burning out, I don't think they will. What will burn them out is disagreement within themselves. That's what's going to burn them out, because if there is no harmonization of purpose, if there's no harmonization of purpose, then they will burn out, because at some point there will not be divergent opinion. Look, what made the APC to succeed was just one thing: the concession of the presidential ticket to the north and to Muhammad Buhari. So even the Bola Tinubu that was the champion of it, stepped down his own ambition, and from onset they know this is the man we're going to give this ticket to, and so they all work towards that. But in this case now, they are just trying to come together. What will burn them out is when their interest is not recognized. That's what's going to burn them out, not necessarily financial resources, because at the point when their interest is beginning to clash with one another's interest, then you discover that they already burned out maybe before the war starts.
Sonny, let me come to you. Talking about interest now, we can see that people are already making permutations. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has not hidden his desire to be the president of this country. He's also, he's made it clear that he intends to run again. There's also no question that Peter Obi wants to run as a presidential candidate. You have El Rufai in the mix, and you have some other big names there in the mix as well. So talking about interest, what would your own permutations be now? Do you think any of these individuals now with very strong characters, I must say, very strong character, do you think any of them would be willing to bury their interest, for the sake of others?
Yeah, what happened in 2023 probably will not happen now. There's a lot of trajectory. More so, Nigerians are getting worried. Prior to 2015, there was clamor for change. And that was why when you asked Alexa about money or monetary muscle, I was just laughing, because 2015 wasn't about money. It was about Nigeria needing that change. If it's money, PDP will bankroll the campaign and spend a lot. The Nigerians were just after change. And even now, we have come to that trajectory. Nigerians are not looking at money. And I'm telling you, 8% of Nigerians are looking at change. And that change is all about the policy of APC, the policy of this president. Nigerians are going through a lot of questions. So the only problem we are going to have is concession.
Is what?
Concession. Can they be able to give themselves that concession, looking at Nigeria as the basic article of what they are fighting? For instance, we know from all the ones you mentioned, we can at least have one that Nigerians are clamoring for. And it's all over the planet, everybody at work. I wish that the 4 or 5 of them could sit down, bury their personal interest, and choose the best that suits Nigeria. And that's why and how they are going to make it. If they are parochial, if they are looking for their own sector, I'm telling you that APC is not anywhere.
But politicians are known to be parochial. Politicians are known to, for politicians, it's always about their interests. So that's where the issue is.
But this time, it is not going to be like that.
Really?
There's a lot of anger. Yeah, there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of melancholy among these ones that are trying to unseat APC. And they want to do everything possible to see that they unseat the president. But my problem about this unseating is, if you can't unseat somebody who came to power through different means and through different deformities, the incumbent, can we do that? And why we can't do that is the foundation of our electoral system. We must go back to the foundation of that electoral system, electoral law. Even if you choose the best among these ones, and you have a foundational flaw in our electoral process, there's nothing they can do. Just like they tell you go to court, and they will give you results at 3 a.m. and nothing happens. I think the basic thing we should be talking about this is how do we change our electoral law so that every vote counts, so that we don't have what we have, 2023. The intimidations, the harassment, the disenfranchisement, and the tribal aspect of it. If we can look at the law, I think it will help and it will give Nigerians every confidence to go there and vote and knowing that their vote will count. That is my problem. Not about it.
All right. Alexei, do you get the impression, just as Sani said, that, votes don't count? Because, I have covered elections in this country, and to the best of my knowledge, votes actually count.
Well, I agree. Vote counts because at some point you will discover that where people seriously stand decide to show their character, the votes will count in those areas. It's not to say that there are no unruly behaviors during our electoral systems, and for which, unfortunately, the courts have not been able to help us in that respect. So votes actually count. So anybody that thinks that vote does not count, then the greatest danger is to sit back and not make your vote to count. Because like I always tell people, the votes that will be used to rig any election is the one that didn't come out to vote. Now, if you come out to vote, your vote will be counted and it will be recorded. And it is those that do not come out to vote, or areas where politicians have been able to manipulate the electoral system, the voter system, to be able to use to manipulate, and whoever has the upper hand in those areas will be able to manipulate. I mean, if vote doesn't count, how come Peter Obi was able to win Lagos in 2023? So it's just because vote counts, and we should not have that notion. Yes, there is irregularities, and unfortunately, like I said, the Supreme Court in 2015 delivered a kind of judgment that disrupted a smooth election in Nigeria, and I'm very, very particular about that. In 2015, the Supreme Court, the case of Wike versus Atiku Peter side, set a very bad precedent that turned the hand of the clock backward. If not for that judgment, today our election would have been cleaner. That politicians would not have had any room to maneuver and to rig elections without consequences of the action. So votes count, but
now let's go back to this issue of some of the big names in this coalition, and Sani did raise something very important, and it's something that we've all been talking about here, the issue of interest. Now you look at this in individuals and their interest. You think when the time comes, they will be able to coalesce and probably bury their individual interest and probably pick one of them and support. Take, for instance, you think the others would want to rally around, say, an Atiku Abubakar's candidature?
DEJI, let's play back to 2023. The singular factor that put Bola Tinubu in Aso Rock is Peter Obi. That was the singular factor that put Bola Tinubu in Aso Rock. Look, if, as at then, I don't know what gave Peter Obi the impression that he had a national spread. And even then, the people of the Southeast begged, the real leaders of the Southeast, because they know the implications, they begged that it would be better for Peter Obi to subsume his ambition But unfortunately, well, let's say the Almighty God is on the side of Tinubu, so it creates confusion in the camp of his enemies. So even where they saw the handwriting clearly, that individually they could not do it, they cannot get it individually. They still did not, P2B did not. So P2B was the singular factor that put Tinubu in Aso Rock. Now, so coming to 2020, forget, I mean, some people say, okay, Kwakwanso was also part of it. But forget Kwakwanso. Kwakwanso was just one state. I mean, it was just one state, Kano. And that case state was a state where anybody could have gotten enough vote. But you see where P2P was able to dislodge APC from their traditional southeast and south-south, and even Lagos. And then all those votes amounted to waste because it could not measure up with national votes. So 2027 will be more dynamic, but right now, there will be the geopolitical consideration between North and South. Now, the North have their 8 years, according to the unsigned or unsigned agreement. The North have had their 8 years. So it's expected that the South have their 8 years. So now, who is more legible in the South among this coalition? P2B has lost face because I don't see where an Atiku will help P2B, will want to consider P2B, having been the one, that singular person that made it not to win the presidential election in 2023. And I don't see how either El Rufai or Kwakwanso or whoever want to consider P2B, which is the most prominent southern figure in that coalition. And don't forget that the APC is not sleeping. Right now, they're in power, and because they're in power, they have all the machineries, including money, including whatever, force, coercion, and like I just told you, 2015 was a watershed as far as the Supreme Court judgment is concerned about free and fair election in Nigeria. So you cannot have a free and fair election in Nigeria. I mean, it's even made worse by 2023 judgment that rendered electronic voting and electronic computation as a mere viewing portal, not relevant apart from the manual one. So you may not be able to have a free and fair election in a very, very long time in Nigeria. So long as those you are not able to muster the kind of muscle that the APC was able to muster during the 2015 election. So and like I said, at that coalition, Bola Tinubu was clear of his own ambition because he was the mover. He was clear that he knew he was not going to stand a chance of winning the election. That's why the President Buhari, whom he supported, knowing fully well that the North must have their 8 years, the South haven't had theirs. And so you can, so right now, who is formidable in the South to be given that mandate? And if you can't take a Northerner, how will the South react to that Northerner? And how will he command? So geopolitics must come into play, personality must come into play, and then what magic will they do to be able to counter the forces that APC will unleash?
I get your point.
So it's a long fight for them.
I get your
it's
point.
It's a long route. A very long route to freedom.
I get your point. Let me come to you, Sani Maduka. Do you foresee a likely scenario where we would have a repeat of what we had in 2019? That's an Atiku Obi ticket. Or are you looking at an Obi Atiku ticket? Or an Obi El Rufai ticket?
Let me come. I think unless you didn't get it right. Obi never lost 2023 election. We all knew about it. Let us be frank about ourselves. We know what happened in
No. But I disagree with you. He lost the election. But let's not even go there. Let's stay on this.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, but for the Peter Obi and Atiku, because of the unwritten dichotomy or written law, whereby the South must have their 8 years, I think P2B has a better chance of placing the ticket. And let me even correct this point. In 2023, Atiku never wanted to contest. Atiku said that if the presidential candidate goes to the South, and he will not contest.
That was all Look, that was all political talk. I can tell you that.
No. But what happened was when Wike came out and said he contested. That was why he came up. He said it severally. He never wanted.
And you believe that?
Yeah. When he
Okay.
said it, so we let us believe him, and because he said it. So what I'm saying is that don't be surprised that Atiku may support the people because of their friendship, and for El-Rufai and others, and because they want APC out of the party, out of power by all means, they probably will support people. Because now we're not talking about change or sending it back to North. No, the trajectory is still residing on in the South. And as of today, the only figure you can talk about globally that can make impact is P2P. It may not be easy, but I think the interest of every one of them will be submitted into who is the more popular candidate amongst them. And if you look at what is happening, at least, yes, 2023, P2P wasn't having that spread because the party he wasn't that known until he came in there. But this time around, with the kind of people that are there, and I'm sure when they are going to choose a common party, they're going to choose a party that has a spread. And that spread will help in galvanizing support and every other thing that will help whoever that they're going to choose. But I know that the presidency will still remain in the South. And the only person now, now, if I'm telling you, it's still P2B, it's still the alcohol man within the South. I don't see any other person, taking it off from him. That is just,
Can I ask you this? Um,
yes.
Lester talked about these unwritten arrangement in Nigeria, that, when the presidency goes between the North and the South, so it spends a particular time in the North, and then Buhari did 8 years, so the expectation is that the presidency will be in the South for 8 years. So my question now is, don't you think some forces in the North, some people in the North might see a Peter Obi presidency as, very tricky, that if you gave him the ticket and he became president, he probably would not do one term. And so you'd have a situation where the presidency will stay in the South for more than 8 years. And as we speak today, part of what caused the problem in the PDP, the reason why the PDP, well, if you were to go by the argument of some of their top members in the North, why they gave the presidency the ticket to Atiku Abubakar is that they claimed, or they argued, that the South the presidency had spent too much time in the South. That when you look at Obasanjo, you look at Jonathan, and then Yaradua, who was to do probably 8 years, didn't even do up to half of his term. So that, that when you do the calculation, the South had it more than the North. And you think that North now will want to sacrifice additional 4 years. That's if, for instance, they give that ticket to Obi and he won. And you expect that they'll believe he will do 4 years?
Let me tell you this.
Okay.
Nigerians are not looking at right now. Nigerians are looking at the best that can help. As of today, I have some friends. Some friends who are Northerners. But they've never talked about anything in Southeast. But now they're now realizing that, so maybe we made mistake. Why don't we give this to South? So the permutation is still there. I'm telling you, as of today, the orientation of Nigerians prior to 1999 has changed. Nigerians are no more looking at, even the Northerners, some of them are always coming to me and saying, look, we produce all these presidents, the military presidents and whatever. What happened in the North? Have they been able to come up to match what is happening in the South? So I think the change is coming, and the change will come in such a way that once we have a good leader right now, I'm telling you, this tribal, the vacations, religion, zonal, we fizzle out. And why we are still bringing this, those, whatever, it's because those whom we chose have never lived up to expectations. The day we get a good leader, I'm telling you, Nigerians won't even mind. Tell the person, look, continue. We have Nigerians that are changing, and they are not going to static based on tribe, religion. What we need now are people that can rule and showcase their stewardship scorecard in such a way that every Nigerian will benefit.
Okay.
All this and this and what has it helped us for? Nothing, except miseries, hardship. So it's not about whether it's north or south. If the north, I'm telling you, bring the best of the persons, and Nigeria saw that this guy is okay, is a pure nationalist, then we vote. So I'm thinking a situation whereby we can do away with this issue about the economy on those 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. No. We need a Nigerian, not a northerner, not a southerner, not a westerner, a Nigerian that can look at us, galvanize Nigeria, giving us that national pride. And when you come out as a Nigerian, people will respect not where you come from or where religion, but because you're a Nigerian who is taking every Nigerian to the map.
All right, Lester, let me give you the chance, your final word in this.
Thank God he corrected my brother Maduka.
Okay.
In 2023, Obi had no chances from onset because he couldn't have gotten the spread. So he lost the election without, anybody who is saying he didn't win, he didn't lose. He lost that election, and so sad for him. But see, going forward, the kind of momentum P2B had in 2023, that movement is gone, sincerely. So if anybody is thinking that Mr. P2B can resonate what he did in 2023, that must be just a wishful thinking, because the momentum of that movement is gone. And right now, people took him just because they saw he was not part of the old bloc. A lot of people that went for him was because they see him as distinct from the old bloc. Now, if you attach an Atiku to P2B, of course, that's a bad ticket for the so-called obedient movement. They will not even, it will not sell the way any other ticket will have sold. And like you said, the best option for the Northerners now is to either stick with Bola Tinubu so that he will finish his 8 years and then power is batted back. Let's not kid. I don't like discussing tribalism or sectionalism. That's one thing. But I have come to see that is the reality of the day. That is just the reality of the day. There is no way the politicians will allow that interest, that unwritten rule to be broken. Even when Jonathan was what made Jonathan to lose that election was because they felt that was getting too far. He finished one term. He finished He finished the Yar'Adua's term. Now finished his own term. So any other term will have been so much elongation, and the Northerners would not have gone in for that. And again, APC was able to get a candidate that had the Northern appeal in order for them to move on. So it's going to be a long fight for the coalition. It's going to be a hard work for them. The only thing that will save the coalition is to better all their interests and go for a neutral person, a neutral southerner that will have only 4 years written, signed, affidavit sworn on it in the court.
But that is not going to happen.
I am taking this job. It's going to be only 4 years. Then the Northerner will take back. Anything short of that,
no way.
I tell you, the Northerners will want to, because the politicians will tell you they don't. If they agree, they will say, "Would they agree?" So the man will come to the public, swear an affidavit, stamp in the courts, publish everywhere, so that the people supposed to support him knows that after 4 years, though, he's not going to say, "I have constitutional 2 terms."
I can tell you.
It's very difficult. So
I can tell you such an affidavit will never have any binding effect.
Unless you remember that no affidavit works in Nigeria anymore. Otherwise,
anyway,
thank you, Sonny Maduka should know.
27 people sworn affidavit. 27 sworn affidavit, and then they said it was not true, and the Supreme Court accepted their position. Yeah. I whip my country. I whip for my country.
You and I, we saw the affidavit. You and I, we saw the affidavit. We saw an open display where they even saw the account, where the president went up.
Thank you very much.
The Supreme Court of Nigeria said no.
We're out of time.
My country.
We're out of time. We're out of time. Thank you very much, Lester Wilcox. Thank you very much for your time. Sonny Maduka, thanks a lot for coming on the show. We'll talk again. We'll still have more time to talk about this. Thanks a lot. All right, that's how much you can take on the program this week. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.